Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we have a horrendously overdue test of the Callaway Apex TCB iron. This is not a new iron. No. This has just been a long time coming from us. The TCB is the iron played by Jon Rahm, Xander Schauffele, probably most of the Callaway Tour staff. But it's really flown under the radar as one of the best but least talked about irons in the market. And I have no idea why that is.
I've never hit it before, but it looks really, really good.
Really clean. Ticks every box that you would really look for with a compact player's iron. A little bit of forgiveness with the perimeter weighting, very minimal offset throughout. Nice, actually, progression in the offset. A little bit more offset in the 4-iron. About the same offset as actually the Apex MB blade in the 7-iron. And the wedge actually has the least amount of offset in the Callaway range. Right. So you can really see why the tour players gravitate towards it. The progressive look, the forgiveness. It is a solid construction. You've got the adjustable weight plate on the back that allows you to centralize the positioning of the mass. So if you do want to lower the head weight, if you want to up the head weight to match whatever shaft or grip or length, whatever the build specs may be, you can centralize that adjustment through the weight plate at the back, which is a very key thing. Ideally, we don't really love putting weight into the hosel and pulling that mass away from the middle. So the ability to centralize that is really a key feature in this iron. We are going to do a little test because this is one of the ones that we consider to be, best in class or one of the best in class. We're going to actually grab 3 of the irons that we do a little bit more testing with in the channel. T100, Callaway ZX7, and actually the Mizuno 223 as well. 3 that have been super popular for us. And I think that'll give you guys a little idea of how the TCB ranks in amongst the best in class irons in the player's cavity market. Okay, let's get some baseliners. Let's take a look at your numbers. 190 pin, X100 shaft. What ball have you got there?
We're gonna use just a regular Pro V.
Regular Pro V, excellent.
First time not hitting a blade in a while.
Yeah, how does it set up to your eye?
It's good, it's got a thin top line. It's not something that I wouldn't use, so that's important for me. Yeah, on it, so it feels really good off the face. I've only caught kind of one really good there so far, but initial feels solid.
Yeah, I'll go out, I'll start testing those Epons and those Proto Cs and start slinging it. Start hooking them and fading them. You're just up here hitting straight balls.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really solid. Really
Yeah, it feels really good off the face.
That sounded like the best one.
Yeah, I struck that one really well.
Yeah, great strike. Ball speed is really, really nice. So, from these one-piece heads, these forged heads, we're trying to take away the likelihood or the potential for us to get a little bit of a hot one off a strike as good as that. I mean, and that is the perfect opportunity for the hot one. You get a marginal high strike, slightly above the CG. What we end up getting off that is a little bit lower launch, a little bit higher launch, a little bit lower spin with high ball speed. Recipe for flyer. Yeah. Really, you've only gained a few yards there, 3 or 4 yards out that, which is absolutely nothing. I mean, whether you're 9 to 12 feet past your intended land zone, unless we're playing at Augusta or somewhere where the landing spots are so tiny, absolutely no.
Yeah, and I'm pretty good with, as long as my 6-iron's kind of 190 to 195, I don't want it really going further than that. If I'm hitting a stock one, obviously, if we are playing a draw or something, it's going to go a little further. But a stock 6 for me, I don't want to see it get out more than 195 at all.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Okay, let's give me one more, and then let's make sure you can sling them. Really good strike. Just turned it a touch.
Yeah, I'm shutting the face a little bit, I think. My path is obviously, this is good for people to see. I can't hit this is me trying to hit quite a straight one, so my path is quite neutral today, but that's probably not a shot I normally played very often.
Just give me a tiny little gentle fade with this one. That's nice. Working back just really nicely, pin high. Excellent. Sound really good.
Yeah, they actually feel, again, just been blades for pretty much my entire playing career, essentially. Since I started picking, I learned on blades played blades all the way through. So I don't hit a lot of cavity backs, but in terms of just the look and the feel of them, they don't feel a ton different than what I'm used to, which is good.
Yeah, I think when people see players like, Jon Rahm and Schauffele and guys like that, maybe they're like, wonder why they're playing cavity backs over blades. As blades, we see Tiger, we see Rory, DJ, those guys, and we assume the best players in the world should automatically go to blade, but it doesn't have to be that way.
No, I agree. I think I was saying that to you earlier, that it might be something an avenue that I kind of maybe go down next season, just to see if there's something that I maybe can benefit from. Obviously, I play a lot of golf, but there's still days where I'm not swinging it great, where I think I could benefit from just a little bit of a miss hit. So it's something that I definitely want to experiment with.
Okay, let's work the ball a little bit here. Let's see what you've got in terms of your shot shaping, and that's the one thing we hear about blades. Workable, right? We can work the ball more. What does that mean? Well, it means that we've neutralized the center of gravity on the golf club to the point where we have the ability to open and close the face at will more easily. When we increase the MOI, when we stabilize the head, what it really means is that we're trying to get that head to return back to square, and if we do miss it off center, we don't get an awful lot of twist. We don't get a penalty on that toe heel strike. So trying to kind of, make the best of a bad situation. There's not many bad situations for you. I mean, the likelihood is the only thing you'll do is from time to time is maybe catch one a little heavy because you're a little shallow in angle attack. There's not many miss hits for you.
So I'll start, maybe we'll stick that pin at kind of 200, just because I know this will probably go a little further, just because it's going to be hooded a little bit.
Okay.
And we'll start with just like a stock, kind of a stock draw, which is more of a hook.
A little nugget from Mac there, guys. When the shot calls for a draw, when maybe the wind conditions are going to make you draw it, in Mac's case, left to right or right to left for a righty, club down, go from a 6 down to a 7. The likelihood is, you'll put less dynamic loft on it, the ball speed will go up, the spin rate will go down, the ball will fly a little further. Get that rightward bounce. Good. Good.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to what I see in my own irons. I'm currently playing the Callaway Apex MBs.
Right.
But numbers-wise, I'm about 10 yards longer on like a kind of a hooded sling like that. Stock one's about 190 in the air to 195, so it's very, very similar.
Okay, let's soften it up a little bit. Let's hit the little soft, little cutty one into that back left flag. That's nice. That's really nice. One thing, guys, if you've been watching Mac long enough, or you've been watching him on the channel or on his Instagram, Mac Boucher Golf, one thing you'll always see is the fade moves less than the draw. It's much easier to get the ball to curve when we bring the spin rate down. We can tilt the axis of the golf ball much easier. Remember, that's why it's easy to curve a less lofted iron, like a 3 or 4 or 5. Very hard to curve a wedge, a 9 or an 8. That's because the loft that we present to the ball doesn't care if we're hitting a 3 or a 7 or a wedge. It only cares what pressure is applied to it and what the physics of the loft and the face angle are applied to it in the D plane. So what we see is Mac's fade is about half, maybe even slightly less in curvature than his draw, and that'll always be that way. So again, understanding your ball flight, what you're likely to see from it. It's a bit like what people think when you've got a 1 club wind and it's 1 club down and it's 1 club in. It's not. It's always double the hurt than it is downwind. It's always these little subtleties to the laws of ball flight and what it means in play. Let's take it onto a hole in the course. I would like to see, rather than just on the range, I mean, you're hitting those lovely. That is definitely
it's checking all the boxes to what I would see in an iron, for sure.
Definitely. I could see a little set of those in the raw finish in your bag for sure. Let's head on to a hole in the course where we can test the Mizuno, the Titleist, and the Strixon against the TCB. We're not going to make it easy on you here. We've taken you to the Island Green at Coeur d'Alene. We are 200 yards out. The cover on these is comfortable for you at 183, so really it's not the issue. But it's the psychological factor of the fact any miss is dead, it's wet, not ideal. Let's fly over this quickly. Bunker short right, bunker back middle, pin on the back left. So it's going to require that little fade you were just hitting for us.
Yeah.
Really nice little fade into that Knowing you, you're probably going to hit a draw though and tuck it in there to about 3 feet. Nice, really nice. I think there was people out there who doubted whether you were capable of hitting straight shots.
The straight shot's in there, and to be fair, I use it a lot.
Couldn't draw a straighter line than that.
I hit straight shots a lot when I need to hit straight shots, but it doesn't feel as good.
That's good, really good. I'm gonna make one of these at some point. Okay.
Just for the
lovers of the sling.
To be fair, I know that's stupid, but if I was really scared about hitting in the water, that's a shot I would hit.
Yeah, you'd hit it into the fat part of the green.
Yeah, I was just hitting the fat side of the green. So
totally.
I would rarely miss that left. It's always going to be an oversling. I have so much room over there.
And when we played this last time, I think we were trying to somewhat replicate, the conditions of wind and things like that. It was Ryan, Mike, and I who hit this tee shot. If you were trying to hit a cut of some kind, it was hard. It was a really, really hard hole. But if you're hitting into it, trying to hit into the kind of the fat part of the green, you're
yeah, I could hit that surface success every time with that shot. Like, totally. I would pretty comfortably say that I might miss it a little right, but it would be on dry land, which on a hole like this, a 4 is not a bad score.
Totally. All right, let's switch in. Okay, so first one we want to compare against is probably the king of the category. The T100 is the most played iron on every professional tour in the world, every single one, which is quite a staggering feat. The TCB and the T100 are very, very similar. Difference being there's a little bit more multi-material to T100, there's a little bit more tungsten in there, a little higher MOI for it, as small as the head looks. Yeah,
initial thought with this is it does have tinier top line. Like this would trick me into thinking it's a blade.
Totally.
I could probably tell it's obviously a thin top line of the TCB, but I would say this is this looks like something I would play for like 100% right now. Yeah.
Totally. All right, let's hit a few.
So almost the exact same shot as I hit with the first one with Callaway.
Almost a carbon copy.
Yeah.
Good strike. Little more spin in that one, just probably a touch more dynamic loft. Pure. So solid.
Feels very similar, right? Again, feel-wise, wouldn't be able to tell you a ton of difference. Kind of initial few swings there between the two and the feel. Just loving that little left.
Between the edge of the green and the pin is just home for you right now. So two pretty comparable irons, two pretty comparable results. Right, we'll spec these out exactly the same. 30 degrees aloft, 61 degrees on the lie angle. Nothing much. A little bit more variance on the kind of the fade, if we want to call it the axis tilt, is it's a little more aggressive to the left, which we don't love, but other than that, very similar.
That kind of confirms what I'm feeling. There's not a ton
not much
in it. Yeah.
Not much. Okay, let's switch into the Mizuno now. We do make a departure now from the smaller heads, TCB. I think T100 would be the smallest of the four. We would then be TCB. After that, we'd probably be into 223, and then the ZX7 is the largest of the bunch. This one, as standard, comes with a little bit of a stronger loft than what we're going to be testing at right now, so there is a little bit more bounce on it. So it'll be interesting to see how that turf interaction, if that does bother you at all. A little different acoustic as well. Lovely shot, though. I mean, that's the perfect play, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just a hair to the right of the stick.
That would be the ideal shot.
Yes. Yeah, subtly different, this one.
Sounds different.
It does.
Is it, you said it's a little stronger?
It's a little, it comes standard stronger. They're all the same.
Okay.
They're all at 30. I moved them all earlier on, but you can definitely tell there is a little bit of a thinner face going on behind the stripe. You can actually hear the pitch is a hair higher. Very deep with the TCB T100, very solid sounding. This is a little bit more of a techie sound in the 223.
Yeah, it feels like that as well.
That's nice as well. Yeah, great results with this one. It is a little bit more power-packed, this one, a little bit more horsepower behind it, yeah.
Yeah, it feels faster off the face. Like it.
Yeah, holding its line really, really nicely. Spin profile is really good, not much different from the other ones. You know, little change, very subtle change in launch angle. And really we can attribute that to, it's actually easier for you to hold your line with this one. So as a result, we don't have it there, it's not picking up the dots, but it's going to be a lower dynamic loft story. That's why we're seeing lower launch and lower spin and higher speed, is because we're a square face rather than an open face.
Right.
Really, really like that. It's worth, yeah, an extra few yards.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's pop on the Srixon. Last but not least, tons of sets of these in play over at the Open Championship last week. We obviously see Koepka using them, we see Shane Lowry using them, lots and lots of players using this. Very unique in the sole design, as we've talked about many, many times with the V-sole, quite different from the other ones. We've got the TCB, very neutral sole. The Mizuno has a very neutral sole, but a little bit wider with some trail edge relief. And then you've got the sole of the T100, which is a little bit narrower than the others. So it'll be interesting to see if you feel this one, Matt.
Yeah.
Typically, players who don't do as well with the V-sole are shallower players. That might be you.
It's like the look of it.
A vibrant pink. Just hear the hint of scrape there.
That's exactly what I felt. Felt a little dig. Wasn't too bad though.
Striking these really nicely, but all of a sudden, the ball has a tendency now to go kind of to the right with this one, whereas early on we had a tendency more to miss it to the left. I love this iron for someone who's progressing from maybe a general standard size cavity back into the player's cavity back. This is a nice subtle step towards that. I think maybe if you put them in a T100, that would be quite intimidating. TCB, quite intimidating. You know, this or a 223, like we talked about, being a little bit larger in size would be more of a gentle progression.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. I'm having a hard time cutting it.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Nice shots, all good. Proximity, not nearly as good. If we look over at the table here and in terms of how close, I mean, Mizuno was obviously very good. T100 was excellent as well. Yeah, we can see we're missing by larger margins there.
Just the look of it just looks a little bit bigger. It doesn't feel like I can hit that fade as much. It feels like it's going to kind of be that more pull or draw bias.
Well, four beauties, four that people, you know, they're not all the same. They each have their own characteristics, their own strengths, their own features that would make someone lean maybe towards that. I think we knew that TCB and T100 would be really, really good for you. Turned out maybe 223 was a little bit of a surprise package in that you hit it very, very straight. And then we lost the face a little bit on it. ZX7 wasn't quite a look, or kind of wasn't quite as easy for you to look up and see the ball flying through a window. And that's why, you know, people talk about wanting to do virtual fits, right? You might have someone's delivery characteristics or performance desires that lean towards a ZX7, but then you hit it and you see that little miss to the right, leaky one that results in going left. It's, you know, we don't play golf on, you know, we don't even play it in a bay. We're going to take it to the course and see how it is on the course. And that's the reality of it. Last week at the Open, what was quite fascinating was talking to a bunch of the tour reps and hearing from them that they're doing less work on the range than ever before. So they're getting stuff ready on the range and then making appointments to take it to the golf course.
Right.
How does it stack up on there? I remember certainly, you know, 10, 12 years ago working out there, it was much, much more about, you know, range session after range session, who's after this one, and the players would take it off on their own and see if it worked. But now it seems to be much more about on-course performance. Does it work?
Well, it makes sense. That's where
ton of sense.
Got to shoot the scores. So
Totally. Okay, guys, Callaway TCB, Apex TCB, beautiful iron. It's taken us far too long to do this review, but definitely well worth it. Would it be one that you would consider
I would,
if you were going into that cavity back?
Yeah, it's been something I've been thinking about doing for a while now, just maybe subbing out my blades and just giving myself maybe a little bit of help.
Yeah.
But especially with technology coming as far as it has in the last few years with thinner top lines, more forgiving irons. So it's definitely something I'd probably want to dabble into next season for sure.
Absolutely, and then a little bit more tech, or even not tech, but a little bit more sort of customization allowed with centralization of the weight plate on the back and those sorts. Little 1%, little 0.5% in there that'll allow you to maybe get a slight bit more. I mean, the margins are thin at the top of the game anyway, but if you can get a little bit more out your miss hits, I think that's going to always help.
100%.
Definitely. Okay, guys. Lots of you will have tried TCB, I'm sure. Lots of you have seen the players and the caliber players that gravitate towards that iron. It really is one of the best out there. Love to hear your thoughts. Let us know what you think. You know, good friend of ours, Johnny Wonder, over on his page, World of Wonder, always talking about TCB and why the best players on their Callaway tour truck, on their staff, you know, rely on that one for all-round performance, great feel, and obviously great through the turf, etc., etc. Very consistent. So pop over to there for a deeper dive into it. It'd be cool to get a set, wouldn't it? I think it'd be cool to get a set of these and see how that progression is from a more offset 4-iron to a very, you know, the least amount of offset in the pitching wedge. I'd like to see you with the set.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see what it's like out in the course, to see if it's still got the workability and everything. Yeah.
We might need to line that one up. Okay, guys, stay tuned for that. We will see you again soon.